And what's going on, everyone? This is Party here, and I'm back here to start a whole new series that I like to call Teams in Review. So anyways, we all know the NHL season is right around the corner. We all can't wait. We're all anticipating a great, amazing, entertaining season. And to prepare for it, I'm going to be reviewing, well, not all the teams in the league. I'm going to try to review as much as I can, practically all the teams that changed the most during the offseason. As you guys can see, I am going to be reviewing the Minnesota Wild. That's right. Alright, so the Minnesota Wild made a lot of big changes during the offseason. I really do want to cover them. Alright, so anyways, I'm just going to fill you guys in with the little rules before I start off. I'm going to be grading 3 categories, them being offense, defense, and goaltending. And they're going to be graded on a scale of A+, obviously being the best, and F, obviously being the worst. Alright, so anyways here, and also I want to talk about the gameplay. This obviously is an online versus, and well, the guy I found out going into the second period really wasn't that good, all right? And I wanted to keep him in the game, so, I gave him a couple breakaways. I kind of, decided not to score on a couple breakaways, to keep him in the game. He did stay in the game, but he wasn't the best player. I don't know if his little brother was playing or, he's new to the game. Either way, he really wasn't that amazing. Alright, so I just want to let you guys know that, and I'm not claiming to be amazing at versus either. I never play versus. I rarely do, so in fact, I'm not much better than this guy, I suppose. So, I'm not that great at versus, alright? So I just want to let you guys know I'm not, bragging or anything. But anyways, let's get down to it. Alright, so Minnesota last season, they were 12th in the Western Conference, not good at all. The record was 35, 36, and 11. All right, they were not even above 500. Not good at all. Very off season for the Minnesota Wild. All right, and I got a little piece of paper with me, with a bunch of statistics. So if you hear the paper flipping, that's what it is. And okay, so let's start off with Minnesota's offense last year. They were the worst in the league. I can safely say that, the worst offensive team in the league last year. And I mean, you guys may say that's a little bit of a harsh word, but it honestly is true. They were last in the league for goals for with 177 goals. And that could have been much better. Now Minnesota started off the season last year pretty well. They were even on top of the Northwest Division. Yeah, that's right, even on top of Vancouver. All right, but unfortunately, come Christmas time, I mean, they weren't as good as they were at the beginning of the season, and as well, they were losing a lot of players due to injuries. And, one big player, their best player, I got to say, is Mikko Koivu, all right? They lost him to injury, and you know what? Just everything, went down the drain after that. And you know what? Last season, Danny Heatley played the full 82 games. He didn't get injured, but he only got 53 points, all right? So I'm expecting a lot more out of Danny Heatley with this next season. They're going to have to push him a lot more, and you're going to hear a lot more, or you're going to have to hear, you're going to hear me say that a lot, is you're going to have to push these players because they got a decent roster, right? And with all the signings that they made, yes, they do have a decent roster. But, you know what? They just didn't do that well last year. They just went awry, And Danny Heatley, he's a great player, only got 53 points in 82 games. He's a former 100-point scorer. I mean, I'm expecting a lot more out of Danny Heatley. I mean, I know he had guys injured on his own lineup. I mean, that may have hurt him, but you know what? He can't even get 60 points. A player that used to get 100 points just can't get it. I don't know if Danny Heatley's getting old. I mean, he hasn't had a good season in quite a while. Maybe he's just not used to the Western Conference. I mean, you think he would after a couple seasons, but maybe it's the thing with Ilya Bryzgalov where you play in the same conference, for your whole entire career, and then you go to a different conference, a whole different style of play, and you're just not the same player. I'm not exactly sure what it is with Danny Heatley, but either way, he's going to have to do better, or maybe Minnesota's going to have to look for a better left winger, all right? Now, I know Danny Heatley can do better with the new players that are coming in. I do know he can play better. I'm sure he can at least get 60 points. So that's pretty good. Mikko Koivu's coming off healthy. I know that he's going to help out a lot. Last year he got 44 points in a short 55 games. I mean, this guy, he's still at an age where he can still get a lot of points. I'm not entirely too sure where the lineups are going to go. Now I guess I might as well bring up Zach Parise. All right, Zach Parise obviously is going to make a whole new difference in the offense for Minnesota. All right. Now that's the thing though with Zach Parise. He's only played with New Jersey for his whole entire career. He's only played in that one conference, so he may get Bryzgalov-itis or something like that, where you know what, he's going to run into some trouble with a whole new team, a whole new conference, that kind of thing. I'm not really sure. All right, I don't know Parise very well, but Zach Parise last season got 69 points in 82 games. This guy's a good pickup. I'm not really sure where they're going to go with the first lineup. So if Mikko Koivu is going to come back healthy, I don't know if they're going to play Danny Heatley on the second line. You got to imagine with $98 million they put into this guy for 13 years, he's most likely going to play on the first line. There's no doubt in my mind he is. So I think Danny Heatley is going to play on the second line. I don't think they're going to mix around with the positions a little bit too much and put Parisi on the right wing or Heatley on the right wing. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to get more depth out of Heatley on that second line. So there's no doubt that they're starting to get a really good team offensively with Zach Parise walking into the lineup. But what you got to keep in mind, Zach Parise has not been a point-per-game player in 2 seasons, all right? So, you know what? He really hasn't been the amazing player he has been for a couple of seasons. So, I mean, the question is, is he going to, get more points? Is he going to finally strive to be that point-per-game player? I don't know. He's going to have to aim for that, though. And I'm sure with Mikko Koivu, I'm sure he can. I mean, Mikko Koivu, he's a very good playmaker. Zach Parise, a 30-goal scorer. I really do think that Zach Parise can aim for that point per game, but he hasn't done it in 2 seasons, like I mentioned. So anything can happen. But either way, but this is where the problem relies. This is where their whole problem with offense is that they don't have any right wingers, okay? This is their problem. They just don't. Okay, Devin Setoguchi last season, he's probably their best right winger, I'm going to say. He got 36 points in 69 games, and they were all expecting so much out of Devin Setoguchi. I'm pretty sure he had power play time, and a couple seasons back with San Jose, he had 60 points. They were expecting him to return to that kind of player, and you know what? We all know with that bad shootout mistake that he got against, I believe it was Montreal, he just fell on the ice, and, that was a good indication of Devin Setoguchi not having a good season. Now, I don't know if Devin Setoguchi, he's going to have, he just needed one more year to kind of, get used to the franchise of Minnesota. Either way, it's all go time for Devin Setoguchi. And if he wants to be the top right winger, he's going to have to prove himself. He's going to have to prove to be that, 60-point, season player. But you know what? If he can't return to that, I think Minnesota is going to have to start fishing out for a right winger because their second best right winger, I'm going to have to say, is Cal Clutterbuck. Which, looking at my piece of paper, Cal Clutterbuck he played 74 games and he only got 27 points. So I don't think Cal Clutterbuck is really on that level just yet. I'm sure he can get there, but I don't think he's a first line player. All right, they need to find a right winger. This is really where they're struggling. They need to find a star right winger. All right, I'm sure Devin Setoguchi can play there, but, I mean, honestly, with 36 points, I think it was, 36 points, it's also pretty risky. It's a risky game to play him on the first line with only 36 points, struggling to get a point every other game, so it's hard to say, where Devin Setoguchi is going to be at, but they do need to find a right winger. All right, I mean, I don't think they can, put all their hope in Devin Setoguchi, to play with Parise and Koivu. I can't see that happening. So, I mean, they're going to have to trade a couple players away possibly for Devin Setoguchi, but that is definitely where their problem relies is a right winger. They need to find a right winger or Devin Setoguchi is going to have to step it up. Now, something I do like for their second lines are looking a little bit better. Like I said, play Cal Clutterbuck, right wing second line. They maybe expect a little bit more out of Cal Clutterbuck, maybe aim for 40 points. But Kyle Brodziak, as I did not mention his name yet, he got 44 points in 82 games, a career high for him. I mean, this guy, he's not the best puck mover. He's a bit of a bigger guy, I can understand. But you know what? He had a career-breaking, amount of points last season. And you know what? I don't know if he can really aim for 50 points, but you know what? I'm very sure he can, get at least 45 points next season playing on the second line with Danny Heatley. I'm sure he can. I don't know if he had first line responsibilities last year. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure he did with Mikko Koivu being a center injured. But I do like their centers. Brodziak, I think he is a really good guy to have on that second line. He's a perfect guy to have on the third line. He's perfect. He can get goals. He can keep the puck out of the net. Pierre-Marc Bouchard, though, he's a guy that's been injury-prone for the last couple of years. I mean, they're really going to want to expect a lot more out of Pierre-Marc Bouchard. He got 22 points last season in only 37 games. We all know a couple years back he missed a whole entire season. I mean, he's not been that same kind of player that can get around 50 points. He's got to prove he can get there, all right? And, I mean, he can possibly have second-line time, but he's going to have to compete against Brodziak. And, I think that's going to be a good little battle between Brodziak and Bouchard. But, Bouchard very well could go up there in the trading block and, just get him away for a right winger. and possibly Setaguchi if he's not going to get up there. I don't want to say get rid of Setaguchi since he's such a young, great player. He's got a lot of potential in him, but it's go time for the Minnesota Wild. They need to find a right winger, and if Devin Setaguchi's not going to be there, then they need to find a right winger and possibly throw Bouchard in there with Brodziak, not doing so well. All right, but all right, so as well, I want to get started now with the blue line. All right, I know obviously defense is a little bit different, but I want to talk about another player they picked up. All right, we all know they picked up a very big player, Zach Parise, for $98 million, 13 years. But another player is Ryan Suter, all right, and I love Ryan Suter. He is the nephew of Gary Suter. I love Gary Suter. He used to play with the Flames. I think he won the cup with them back in '89. But either way, Ryan Suter is a great defenseman in my opinion. He's definitely one of the top caliber defensemen in the league. But why am I talking about him for offense? All right, what you got to keep in mind is that he used to play for Nashville, and Nashville last year, with their power play, they were first in the league. Yes, they were first in the league with 21.6%. And you got to imagine Ryan Suter definitely played a very big role in that. So with Minnesota's power play being, Minnesota's power play was 15.1%. All right, they were 27th in the league. Another big reason why they didn't get so many goals was because their power play just was lacking. So I think with Suter being on the blue line, they're definitely going to have a lot more offense on the blue line. It's going to be a lot more deadlier. I mean, they've been trying to find, an offensive defenseman ever since they lost Brent Burns to the San Jose Sharks. And, I think Suter's going to fit that role very well. All right, with Nashville being first in the league with power play, I'm sure, he's going to play very well. He got 46 points in 79 games last year. So, I'm sure he can definitely, if he can stay healthy, hit the full 82 games, I'm sure he can easily get 50 points. Now, the question with that is, he doesn't have Shea Weber on his side like he did last year. So, this is a big question. Is Ryan Suter going to play as well as they did last year when he had Shea Weber on his side? Now, I'll talk about that when I get to defense. Who is he going to have on his side? But no doubt Ryan Suter is going to be a good pickup for their offense. He's going to help out on the power play. There's no doubt about that. All right. So with that being said, I think I just pretty much hit about everything up with the offense. So I think it's about time to go with defense. So I'm going to have to give Minnesota's offense a B- rating. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, a B- rating. All right, there's still a lot of question marks with Minnesota. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to disagree with me with Zach Parise being picked up. I can understand. But you know what? Zach Parise is only one player, all right? He can't do everything. He only got 69 points last season. You know what? And it's the same thing with Danny Heatley. They're just not the same player that they used to be. So, they're all going to have to strive to, play better. Devin Setaguchi's going to have to play better. Bouchard's going to have to play better. Koivu's going to have to stay healthy. Brodziak is going to have to stay on the same route he's been playing on. It's just all a bunch of big question marks. We're not talking about big, consistent players here, all right? Because, Devin Setaguchi, inconsistent. Danny Heatley, inconsistent. Zach Parise, I don't want to say he's inconsistent, with him being injured and all, but he hasn't been playing at the level he used to play at. So they're all big question marks. They got some really good players. They've got a really good lineup. But you know what? I think it's, like I mentioned, it's that right wing spot they're still struggling with. So that's where that B- is going to come down to. Their top six is definitely looking good. I like the fact that they got Brodziak, probably going to move into the second line center. Like I mentioned, Koivu's healthy, picking up Parise. Hopefully Danny Heatley can play like he used to. Their top six isn't bad, all right? They just got to find a right winger or maybe push Devin Setaguchi. We're going to have to find that out. But like I said, B-. That's my final rating for the Minnesota Wild on offense. So anyways, let's move on to defense, all right? So as I mentioned with Ryan Suter, it was such a big pickup. I just love the fact that Ryan Suter's going to be playing with Minnesota. I think he's going to play very well with them. Like I mentioned with the power play, he's definitely going to help with that. But let me mention with the penalty kill, Minnesota did mediocre last year, being 15th in the league with exactly 82%. And Nashville got a bit higher in 10th. They were 10th in the league with 83.6%. So there's no doubt that I think that Sutter can definitely help Minnesota out with their penalty kill. I can